They made him kneel in filth so the world would forget his mind ever mattered. They laughed as they shoved a brush into his hand, as prison lights flickered above stained tiles, as the Joker, once feared, once brilliant, was reduced to scrubbing toilets for men who thought power came from cruelty. What they didn't know was that this was exactly where he listened best. Because some revenge doesn't need fists or blood. Some revenge grows quietly, in the echo of laughter, in the secrets people whisper when they think no one important is watching. Before this story unfolds into something disturbing, emotional, and unforgettable, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. These are not just stories, they're warnings. The first thing the Joker learned in prison was the sound of humiliation. It wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It crept in softly, boots stopping behind him, keys jingling, laughter swallowed halfway because guards were close. When they forced him to clean the toilets, it wasn't about sanitation. It was about erasing him, about bending a legend until he cracked. They called him names he'd heard before, but this time they came without fear. The inmates lined the corridor, watching him scrub stains older than most of their sentences. Someone spat near his feet. Someone else kicked the bucket over just to watch dirty water crawl back across the floor. The Joker didn't react. He kept scrubbing, humming under his breath, smiling like a man enjoying a private joke. That smile bothered them more than anger ever could. "You missed the spotlight?" one inmate asked, leaning against the wall, arms folded. He was big, scarred, proud of it. A man who ruled through muscle and noise. The Joker looked up slowly, eyes dull, voice soft. "No," he said, "I miss honesty." The man laughed, not understanding. None of them did. Not yet. The Joker learned everything from the toilets. Who came alone and who needed protection. Who cried quietly in the stalls at night. Who washed their hands too long because guilt didn't rinse off easily. Men talked when they thought no one worth talking to was listening, especially to a clown with a brush. He learned about guards who took favors, about inmates who hurt others and slept peacefully after, about deals made in whispers and promises broken before sunrise. Corruption had a smell in prison, sour, metallic, and familiar. It reminded him of the city he came from. Different walls, same rot. Every morning he was forced back down on his knees. Every night he returned to his cell with cracked hands and a calm that unsettled even him. Pain had always been his teacher. This was just a new classroom. One evening, a young inmate collapsed near the sinks. No one rushed to help. Weakness was currency here, and he had none left. The Joker knelt beside him, still holding the brush. "Don't bleed on the floor," the Joker whispered kindly. "They'll blame me." The boy laughed weakly. "Why are you helping me?" The Joker paused. His eyes softened for a moment. "Because someone should have helped me a long time ago." The next day, rumors began. Nothing violent, nothing obvious, just small fractures in the order of things. An inmate accused the wrong man. A guard searched the wrong cell. Favors went unpaid. Trust thinned. Men started watching each other instead of the Joker. He still cleaned the toilets, still knelt, still smiled. But now when he scrubbed, people avoided his eyes. The big inmate, the one who laughed first, started losing influence. His closest allies stopped backing him up. He'd bark orders, and men hesitated. He blamed fear. He blamed betrayal. He never blamed the quiet man with the brush. One night, he cornered the Joker near the sinks. "You think you're smart," he snarled. "You think I don't see what you're doing?" The Joker tilted his head. "Doing what?" "Turning them against me." The Joker leaned closer, lowering his voice. "No, I just let them hear themselves." The man swung. The punch landed hard, snapping the Joker's head to the side. The room went silent. Guards rushed in, dragged the Joker away, threw him into isolation. The inmates watched, satisfied. They thought that was the end of it. Isolation was quiet, too quiet for most men. But the Joker thrived there. In the dark, he replayed every word he'd heard, every secret he'd collected. He didn't need tools. He didn't need weapons. He had something far sharper, people's own reflections. When he returned to cleaning duties days later, something had changed. The big inmate wouldn't meet his eyes. The guards avoided standing too close to certain inmates. Arguments broke out over nothing. Old alliances collapsed overnight. Men who once laughed the loudest now sat alone, staring at walls like they were listening to ghosts. The Joker scrubbed a toilet slowly, deliberately, humming again. A guard leaned down and whispered through clenched teeth, "What did you do?" The Joker didn't look up. "Nothing," he said softly. "I just cleaned." That night, an inmate was found screaming in his cell, convinced everyone knew what he'd done before prison. Another begged to be moved, swearing the walls were repeating his sins back to him. Panic spread faster than violence ever could. And in the middle of it all, the Joker smiled, not because he enjoyed the chaos, but because justice, in its ugliest form, had finally started listening. As lights dimmed and whispers grew louder, the Joker realized something unsettling. They weren't afraid of him anymore. They were afraid of themselves, and that was only the beginning. Fear settled into the prison like dampness, slow, invisible, impossible to wipe away. The Joker felt it every time he pushed the cleaning cart down the corridor. Conversations stopped when he passed. Eyes dropped. Even laughter had changed. It sounded forced now, brittle, like glass ready to shatter. He hadn't touched anyone, hadn't threatened a soul, and yet men were unraveling. The big inmate, the one who ruled with fists, began skipping meals. He slept sitting up, back against the wall, staring at the door as if it might whisper his name. Power had drained out of him quietly, the way blood leaves a body through a wound you don't notice until it's too late. One afternoon, the Joker found him in the washroom, scrubbing his own hands raw. "You hear it too, don't you?" the man muttered without looking up. "Hear what?" the Joker asked gently. "The truth," the man said, voice cracking. "It doesn't shut up." The Joker nodded, almost sympathetically. "It never does." The prison administration blamed stress, overcrowding, old grudges. They never blamed the man cleaning toilets because a system built on cruelty never imagines intelligence kneeling in filth. But something deeper was happening. Men were confessing to themselves, to each other, not because they were forced, but because the weight of unspoken sins had become unbearable. The Joker hadn't planted lies. He had simply allowed silence to do what violence never could. One guard tried to intimidate him, cornered him near the supply closet, breath sharp with anger. "You think you're untouchable?" the guard whispered. The Joker smiled faintly. "No, I think I'm unforgettable." That same guard requested a transfer a week later. No explanation, just fear in his eyes and shaking hands when he signed the papers. Late one night, the Joker was summoned, not dragged, not beaten, summoned, a rare thing. He was led to a quiet office where a senior official waited, face pale, fingers tapping nervously on the desk. The man studied the Joker like a puzzle that had rearranged itself. "You've disrupted order," the official said. The Joker tilted his head. "Order," he repeated, tasting the word. "Is that what you call it when monsters feel comfortable?" Silence stretched. The official leaned back, defeated. "What do you want?" The Joker thought for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice wasn't mocking. It was tired. "I want you to stop pretending this place is about justice," he said. "And I want you to remember, every man you break creates something worse than anger." The official didn't respond, but the next morning the Joker was reassigned. No more toilets, a quieter job, less visible, less humiliating. The inmates noticed. They watched as the clown stood taller, moved freely, eyes sharp again. They realized too late that the filth had never weakened him. It had sharpened him. The big inmate approached him one last time, trembling. "Make it stop," he begged. The Joker looked at him, not with hatred, but with something closer to pity. "I can't," he said. "It's not coming from me." That night, the man broke down completely, confessing everything he'd ever done to anyone who would listen. The prison echoed with sobs instead of laughter. Weeks passed. The chaos settled into something resembling calm, but it was a different calm. Honest, uneasy, earned. And then, quietly, without announcement, the Joker was released. No parade, no apology, just a gate opening and a city waiting beyond it. Dirty, corrupt, unchanged. As he stepped outside, he paused, looked back once at the walls that tried to erase him. He laughed softly, not in triumph, not in madness, but in understanding. They had tried to punish him with humiliation. Instead, they had given him a front row seat to the truth that the world didn't need more heroes in masks. It needed mirrors. And the Joker, he was the sharpest mirror of all. Somewhere behind those walls, men would remember the sound of a brush scrubbing tiles and wonder why their own reflections still haunted them. Because the most brutal revenge isn't destruction. It's forcing people to live with who they really are. And so the laughter fades, but the silence stays. Because some stories don't end when the gates open. Some lessons follow you home, crawling into the quiet moments, whispering truths you'd rather ignore. The Joker didn't win by breaking bones or spilling blood. He won by holding up a mirror and letting corruption, cruelty, and cowardice stare back at themselves. If this story made you uncomfortable, good. That means it worked. If it made you think, even better. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more dark, cinematic stories where justice doesn't wear a clean face.